welcome to Big Bore Knife and Gear. Today we're going to talk about this little beauty here. This one is from Orion Knives. This is a prototype designed by Mr. David himself, also known as Blade Banter. As of yet, this sucker is still unnamed. It's not even in production. This was supplied by the Apex Bass Round Group, so I'm very grateful for that. He does have about 3 of these prototypes on hand and out and about for some reviews and feedback so that they can get a final version going and produced. I will leave a link down in the description for Orion Knives. Again, headed up by Mr. Blade Banter himself. There is a mailing list on there right now that you can subscribe to get updates and whatnot. And I signed up because this right here is a fantastic knife, and once it goes into production, I am definitely going to get my hands on one. Alright, let's go over some specs real quick, and then we'll get into the knife itself, which I've had for just over a week now. Overall length on this is 7 7/8 inches. We've got a blade length of about 3.5 inches, a cutting edge of 3¼ inches, handle length of about 4 3/8 inches. Blade steel on this is going to be 14C28N. Blade style is a drop point. Blade thickness on this is 0.120 inches. Lock type on this is a button lock. Beautiful G10 scales, G10 backspacer, titanium clip. Handle thickness on this one is just over 1/2 inch at 0.53 inches. Weight coming in at 4.8 ounces. And deployment on this is multiple. So flipper tab, thumb studs. You can button lock deploy it. And I don't have enough room between my camera and here, but you can actually shake out. Let me see if I can do this. I don't want to hit the camera. But there we go. Off camera, it works just fine. You can actually shake the blade out too, which I don't mind. It takes a bit of risk, but just another way to deploy this. If I didn't mention titanium clip, it is tip up, right or left carry, so it does make this a truly ambidextrous knife. All right. Oh, if I didn't mention, so far the logo for Orion Knives is this little streaking 3-star. And you can see my mouth and my ugly mug because this blade finish is polished, satined and polished, and it looks amazing. There we go. There's the logo. All right, let's get into this. Let's start with the scales. Scales on this are this G10, which is done very well. It is grippy, but it's not aggressive. It has some beautiful, let's get this to focus, texturing, which I call dimpling, very small dimpling texture. Has some beautiful milled lines in there. All the edges on it are chamfered off very well. It's got this beautiful red G10 backspacer, which complements the anodized aluminum pivot collar very well. The hardware in here looks fantastic. This very thin profile titanium clip. Real easy in and out of pocket. If I can get it to focus here, you'll see the clip itself is like a rounded ball, which made it super smooth and easy. A lot of thought, a lot of time went into this. I still remember a little back history. I still remember seeing Blade Banter's first 3D printed plastic version of this on Big Red EDC's Saturday Knife Live many, many months ago, and it's just been an interesting little journey seeing the progression from sketches on paper to plastic 3D demo knife, if you will, to actual working prototype. Very nice. This is running on ceramic, I believe ceramic. I didn't really look too closely when I pulled the sucker apart, but it is running on bearings, and it is a multi-row bearing system, which was very nice. Sorry for the light there, folks. Again, this finish on here is it's not mirror polished, but it's polished, and it catches the light very well. As far as billboarding on here, again, so far the only thing on there is the Orion Knives logo, and then of course the marking for the blade steel, which is the Sandvik 14C28N. When these things go into production, from what I'm told by Blade Banter, target range for this is going to be about $70 to $80, and I am, again, super stoked. Ergos, even in my big ol' hands, this knife feels absolutely fantastic. It has this very generous finger choil cut into the blade and scale so that they match up perfectly, which I absolutely love because it allows me to choke up on here and get a really nice grip on there. Because of the flipper tab, if I'm holding the knife normally, I only get about almost 3.5 fingers on it, which is still fine, but I much prefer this grip on this knife. Just fantastic. This is almost, well, I shouldn't say almost. For me, it's almost the perfect size EDC. For most people, this is probably going to be a perfect size EDC. With normal size hands, I have an extra large hand, and for me, I do, again, have to choke up a little bit to get a full grip purchase on there. Super slicey. The blade has a very, very well done flat grind on it. My apologies, the one thing I didn't measure on my own is the thickness behind the edge, but this thing, let me tell you, it's a slicer, and it is razor sharp out of the box. This red and black, which are my favorite two color combinations ever, just look amazing. The action on this is superb. It flips beautifully. It thumb flicks beautifully. You can spidey flick it, or it's just done very well. Very, very well. Great job on this one, David. Great job. There is only one drawback for me, and again, this is a prototype, so these are all things people are going to be looking at and reviewing in the pass-around group and giving their feedback on. On the G10 handles, while everything around the edges are nicely milled, there's two spots, one on each side. Let's see if we can get this to focus. So where the pocket clip goes, this area here is not milled, and when this is in pocket and you're reaching in, this tends to bite you pretty good. In fact, if you see that little bit of white there, that's actually still parts of my hand that keep hitting the edge right here. If you can see, it's a little rough. This one does have a little bit of a grind or milling defect on it, which probably was aiding in this portion. But up here, this is very sharp. So about the only thing I can say on this one is when it comes to final production, you please just chamfer that whole area out, because the edges right here are pretty dang sharp. Other than that, this knife is fantastic. It is got half liners in there. Let's see if we can get this to focus. If you can see it, they are not milled out. You could probably mill a little bit of the handle and liners out and drop the weight down a little bit, but for me that doesn't matter, because this feels fantastic, even though it's nearly pushing 5 ounces. So I know it's hard to see in there, but the liners on this, it's more of a half liner. So if you see this portion of the scale where the line is, basically underneath this is the liners. So you've got 3/4 length liners, half width running in there. Let's see if we can get it to actually focus somewhat, to look down in there. Anyhow, you see the shiny on the underside? That's the liners, and again, it just runs this area here. Overall take on this, if this was available right now, I would absolutely pick one up. Just a fantastic everyday carry tool. This is something you can put in your pocket, use the heck out of. It's just fantastic. Absolutely great design. Really digging it, brother. Really digging it. That's all I have for today, folks. Please like, subscribe, leave me a comment because I love the feedback. And until next time, take care.